Okay, so what I want to do is I want to trace the a function, calling a function that's similar to the quiz that we took, though it's not exactly the same as the quiz that we took. I want to just review. I'm going to talk a lot about these steps to tracing a function. Get a new piece of scrap paper, write the name of the function at the top, add boxes for the arguments if there are any, fill in the value for the arguments, run the function, return as necessary, throw out the scrap paper. These are the steps that I'm going to talk about as we trace this. So let's trace. Suppose we have these two functions called switcheroo and weird, and they are in our program area, and we've already loaded them. Well, we already have, I'm just going to kind of leave the command area scratch paper up there. We're not going to use that much today, but we're going to run weird on 22 and 42 and see what happens. So as soon as we run a function according to that picture I showed you before, the list of things, we make a piece of scrap paper for it. We write its name up at the top. And then we look at its definition, right? So we're looking here on line 7 at the definition, and we say, does it have any arguments? And the answer is yeah, it does. It has two called zip and zap. So we make a box for zip, and we make a box for zap. Then the next step is to look at where we called the function from. Well, we were in the command area, so we called it there, and the first argument was 22, so we put that in here. And the second actual value was 42, so we put a 42 into the thing that's formally called zap. Okay, now we're going to run this function. So we're inside of weird. And on line 8 of weird, we have an assignment statement. It says first gets run switcheroo on this stuff. When we have an assignment statement, we always evaluate the right-hand side and put the answer in the left. So we need to figure out what does this evaluate to. So we have to run all of switcheroo. And once we get an answer, we can put it into first. So we're going to run switcheroo. So I'm going to say that we're paused on line 8 of weird, because weird can't keep going until we finish line 8. And now we're going to run switcheroo. So to run switcheroo, we make a new piece of scrap paper. We write switcheroo on top. We look at the definition of switcheroo. It has 3 arguments, so we make 3 boxes, foo, bar, and baz. Okay. The formal names of these boxes are foo, bar, and baz, but we need to know what are the actual values that we put in. Well, we were in weird when we called it, right? We were on line 8 of weird, so we go back to weird and we say we want to run switcheroo on zap, zip, and zip plus zap. So what's zap inside of weird? Well, zap inside of weird is 42, so we put a 42 down here in foo. What is zip inside of weird? Well, zip is 22, so we put 22 down here. And zip plus zap, well, 22 plus 42, that's 64. Now we're ready to run switcheroo. We'll leave this one done. We'll leave weird done until we finish figuring out what the answers are for switcheroo. Okay, baz gets bar, all right, so baz gets bar, so we're going to cross out the 64 and we put in 22. Bar gets foo, so we're going to cross out this 22 and we're going to put the 42 from foo. Foo gets baz, so we're going to cross out this 42 and put the 22 from baz in there. It says return foo, so we pop up a bubble with 22 in it. Return means last and final answer. We are done. We cross out switcheroo. Even if there were 50 lines of code here, we cross it out. We're done. Does that 22 go anywhere? Well, we were paused on 8, remember? So let's look. First gets switcheroo of this. We said evaluate switcheroo. We did. It evaluated to 22, whatever this bubble is. So now we got to put it in first. Do I have a box up here called first? Nope. So I'm going to make a new box and call it first. The bubble's going to go away, and I'm no longer paused on 8. I'm ready to do line 9. Oh, line 9 says second gets run switcheroo on zap, zip, zip. Okay. So I need to evaluate the right-hand side, put the answer in the left. To evaluate a function, I got to run it. So again, I got to pause weird. I'm going to go run switcheroo. And once I get an answer or return, I'll put it into second. So we're going to run switcheroo. So we go back to those instructions that I showed you at the beginning. Make a new piece of scrap paper. Call it switcheroo. We look at the formal definition of switcheroo. Foo, bar, and baz are the formal parameters. So we make a foo, a bar, and a baz. What are the actual parameters that we put in there? Well, this time we were on line 9, so zap goes in the first box, so 42. Zip goes in the second box, so 22. And zip goes in the third box. Okay, so another copy of that 22 goes in there. Great. Now we need to just hold off switcheroo and run, sorry, hold off on weird, and we're going to run switcheroo. So we start running it. Baz gets bar. All right, so we cross out the 22 and we put the bar in, which was 22. Okay, fine. Didn't do much. Bar gets foo, so we cross out the 22, we put the 42 in. Foo gets Baz, so goodbye 42, hello 22. Return foo, blow a bubble with foo in it. Last and final answer, goodbye function. Where's that 22 going? Well, we were paused on line 9 of weird. Second gets the answer. Our answer is 22. We want to put it into a box called second. Is there a box called second here already? Nope. So we make a new box called second. We put 22 in it. Our bubble pops. We are no longer paused. Oops. And the paused on 9 line just isn't going to disappear for some reason. But that should disappear, okay? Pretend that disappeared. It'll disappear some point, I hope. All right. So now we go to line 10. And it says we print a string. So we print first. And then there's a comma, which is stay on the same line. And then we print whatever is in first. So that's 22. So we got our first 22. Then there's still a comma. So we're going to stay on the same line. And we're going to print second colon and 22. Great. And then we're going to go to the next line, right? No comma for the next print. We're going to print zip, comma, 22. Sorry, no comma, right? Zip, then a 22. The comma just means evaluate this piece, then evaluate this piece, print them with a space between them. Now we're going to print zap and 22 on the same line because we had that comma there. Sorry, zap and 42 because zap is 42. And now we're done the function, so we're going to cross it out. And we're done. And that comes up. And really pretend that paused on 9 went away when we finished and we started to do the prints. Good? Okay. Told you these videos aren't perfect. Hope this helps.